In this episode of our Zero Trust series, we're going to talk about how these Zero Trust initiatives may impact you as a vendor, for example, in working within the Department of Defense environments. So stay tuned. We're going to talk a little bit about this today. Now, just as a precursor, I'm not representing the Department of Defense. I'm just sharing with some of the specific things that the Department of Defense in the United States has done to assist in their Zero Trust architecture, which, by the way, could be beneficial for anyone in any region of the world looking to implement Zero Trust within their environment. So let's start here. There are several initiatives that this is all public information that the Department of Defense has implemented throughout the years to really bolster up and improve their Zero Trust environment. So let's talk about 4 of them specifically today. The first one is the Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification. This is known in the industry as CMMC and used to be called DFARS, D-F-A-R-S. Now, you can look up these terms, CMMC or DFARS, and find information related to these programs. The CMMC program was implemented and is implemented to ensure that all of the DoD contractors meet a certain level of cybersecurity maturity within their organizations. This program requires contractors to undergo a third-party audit to ensure compliance with specific cybersecurity standards. And this ensures basically that vendors that support and work with the Department of Defense have the necessary cybersecurity measures in place to protect sensitive information. Look, the reality is that information, when you're working inside of any environment, now we're using Department of Defense as an example here, but this could be literally any environment. Let's say that you are the owner of a mid or large size business and you have vendors that come in, or partners, folks that come in that augment your staff. Now, these companies that are coming in, you want to make sure that they have your best interests in mind, that their storage and application practices and cyber controls align with yours, because you don't want them storing data, for example, about your environment. Maybe they have blueprints of your environment, or maybe they have network topologies of your environment, or maybe they're explaining all of the servers within your environment, or the way your personnel are organized, or the leadership, or sensitive information about individuals, their contact information. You don't want all of that just to be open to anybody. You want that to be controlled. Now, of course, in a Zero Trust environment, we can isolate and control that more effectively. But if we ask that vendors and those supporting our environments, regardless if they're DoD or large environments, that they have the same level of security, we can rest a little easier within our organizations as well. So implementing a CMMC, a Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification type program within your organization will absolutely help you when you implement Zero Trust, and literally will help secure your environment. DoD also has a Zero Trust reference architecture known as the ZTRA. We always have an acronym for everything in Department of Defense, it seems. But the ZTRA was really provided to provide vendors, and is available to anyone in the public space with a blueprint for implementing a Zero Trust architecture within their environment. This is a great document, by the way. If you've never downloaded it, you should check it out. The Zero Trust reference architecture, or ZTRA. It's a standardized framework for implementing zero trust principles and helps vendors understand the components of a zero trust architecture. Now this again goes with the first comment that we talked about, which is the CMMC. So you're implementing a program to help them become more secure, and now you're giving them a reference architecture as well to do that work. Again, all of this is available for any organization. It does not necessarily have to be DoD, and I would strongly suggest that you take advantage of it. Number 3, industry collaboration efforts. The DoD environment collaborates with industry partners to develop all types of tools and technology that support the zero trust architectures. For example, DoD has worked with vendors to develop identity and access management solutions and multi-factor authentication and other zero trust principles to secure access to sensitive data. So this is a true testament of the way that the Department of Defense leverages its partners to build these programs, policies, automation that's required to really have a secure zero trust environment. These type of tools, often marketed, often available in the market for any type of business, can be referenced. So look at the zero trust architecture that DoD has, and you will understand many of those industry collaborative efforts that have been going on. You could just search for multi-factor authentication standards or automation used within Department of Defense, and you'll probably come up with multiple vendors providing that level of access. Now, I'm not implying that you must comply with DoD standards to be secure, because there may be standards that your organization may require that are greater than that implemented within the Department of Defense, or may not require as much cyber and security policy. That's something for you to decide, but it's certainly a good benchmark to start from. And number 4, information sharing. So information sharing is critical actually to the Department of Defense. In order to get the best solutions available in the market, DoD has to and encourages partnering with vendors and some of the smartest and brightest people around the globe. This is very, very important to implementing a zero trust in architecture. We can't do it by ourselves. Nobody can. So when we group everyone together, work with industry partners, share information and best practices like CMMC and ZTRA, then we can ensure that everyone within the community, so that's commercial, government, state, everyone, are sharing and using similar cyber policies, ultimately making all of us a little bit more secure.